John, let me have some of this water.
No, Peter. There's only a little left. I want to finish it off. I've been running more than you today.
Hogwash! I've been running all day to catch your food.
Guys, calm down.
Shut up, Thomas!
Guys, calm down.
Shut up, Jesus! Not you, Jesus. The other Jesus.
What other Jesus?
Yeah.
That's what I named that tree over there.
Look, I forgive you, Peter, but I need to talk to you and John, so come, walk with me. Soldier boy.
Great. Now he's gonna ground us from heaven.
Well, if he does, it's your fault.
Watch me
My
that
fault.
soldier. Silence, my children.
Your fault.
Watch me crank and watch me roll. Watch me crank that soldier boy. Alright now, I know you guys have been fighting all day over water, but I have a simple parable that should fix everything. Now this is called the parable of the horse. Once upon a time there were two men. The first man had a very strong, powerful horse. The second man had a very small, sick, weak horse. Anyways, the king was coming to take a ride through the city. And so the first man came to the king and said, "King, will you please ride my big strong horse?" The king said, "I will consider it greatly." Then the sick man came to the king and said, "King, will you please ride my sick horse?" The king said, "I will consider it greatly." So the two men waited 2 weeks until the king finally came into the city. And when the king came to pick his horse, the big horse had escaped and ran away, and the small sick horse had died. So you see, there's no reason to fight over water.
Yeah, I definitely see your point.
Yeah, about all the horses.
So what did the poor king ride into the city?
I don't know.
So what did that have to do with water?
Ha! Jesus, he doesn't even understand a simple parable. Why don't you explain it to him?
Oh, John, you are wise beyond your years. Why don't you explain it to him?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Alright, so I represent the strong and masculine horse. You represent the small and sick horse and weak and small-footed horse, hoofed horse. Yeah. So we both wanted water, and we didn't want to get hit by falling rocks, because we were on the side of a mountain, and they might have squished us and killed us if we got in their way. But that was the thing, because they were obstacles. We couldn't get squished. And we wanted to get to the water, but like there were man-eating lions.
What about the king?
The king! Yes, he represented the water. How about that? The king represented the water. We wanted to be a part of him. So we didn't want to die of thirst or get eaten by man-eating tigers. So we ran, but slipped into the ocean and drowned.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Well, then I don't know.
My children, you need to pay closer attention. It's like the parable of the ant. Once upon a time, there was this little bitty ant who liked to climb up Jesus' beard. Then one day, when he was up at the very tippy top of my beard, I thumped him, and he flew and flew and flew, and was never heard or seen of again. It's like the parable of the grass. Once upon a time, there was a blade of grass that fell from the ground and was pushed into the dirt road and was stomped on by many a camel. It's like the parable of the alcoholic beverage. Once there was alcoholic beverage poured into a glass. The man that first drank the alcoholic beverage spilled more than half of it on his shirt and wasted the alcoholic beverage. It's like the parable of the bee. There was once a little baby bee who would like to go from flower to flower to get honey. But once he made the mistake and thought that the mouth of a leopard was a flower, and the bee was never seen again. It's like the parable of the fence made out of bones. Once a man needed to keep coyotes out of his garden, so he made a fence out of bones. But when the storm came, the bones were knocked over, and the coyotes ripped up the turnips like a small baby rabbit. It's like the parable of the joggers. Once there were two women who would keep walking around the same building over and over and over, until one day when they were walking, they were attacked by a band of thieves and were robbed. It's like the parable of too many sticks. Once there was a man who tried to collect a big load of sticks, but after he collected them all, he said, "I have collected way too many sticks." It's like the parable of the Jesus. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. It's like the parable of the drop of sweat that fell from the head of a lion. Once a lion ran way too much, and a drop of sweat. It's like the parable of the tree. Once a tree grew. It's like the parable of the tooth. Once there was a baby that had a tooth that grew. It's like the parable of the moth. Once upon a time there was a moth. It's like the parable of too many chipmunks. Once upon a time there was a big pile of chipmunks.
Are you done?
Yes.
Alright, we're never gonna fight again.
It's like the parable of the old corn. It's like the parable of gold. It's like the parable of the rock. Once there was a man telling a parable about paint and about a man who painted something on a tree, and he looked down and found it was like the parable of the black boy with freckles.
Oh my god.
In all the years of black children, never ever was there a black boy with freckles. It's like the parable of the bush. Road. Building. And that was the parable of the thorn in the knee.
Yes.
Alright,
Got
yes.
it.
We
Thorn
understand
in
we're
the
out of
knee
here.
and
Come on.
water and
Come on, Peter.
all that good
We're never gonna fight again.
banjo.
Yeah, we've got this whole situation.
Farewell, my children.
Grab.
Go and repopulate. I want a hot pocket.
What's going on? Did you ground them from heaven? Please say yes.
Oh, Thomas, sit down. I have a parable for you because you shouldn't be so nosy. This is called the parable of the shrimp. Once there was a man who went fishing to catch a big bass fish, but all he caught was a little shrimp.
What?
A shrimp. It's like a sea creature, like a fish. You dip in cocktail sauce.